Have you ever heard of the Buddhist custom of putting salt in your shoes? And do you know what the purpose of this ancient tradition, which originates in the wisdom of Buddhists and Oriental medicine, is all about? Salt is widely known for its many different uses, not just in cooking. You've certainly already tried several thanks to advice from elders. In the kitchen, it is a strong ally, and based on the most recent research, it is not the main cause of raising blood pressure. Its functions do not end here. Salt is a wonderful ingredient even when cleaning at home, because it helps to clean and purify. Additionally, in the form of a saline solution, it serves as a powerful disinfectant for injuries and skin abrasions. It also has numerous applications, such as an exfoliating scrub, an anti-dandruff treatment, a bathing salt, and the list goes on. But few individuals know that for Buddhists, sprinkling salt inside their shoes has extremely significant meaning on both a spiritual and medical level. And we're going to find out in the Zen story you will hear shortly, in which you will discover 5 reasons why you should also try to put salt in your shoes. So stick around to the end, because what we reveal at the end of the video will shock you deeply and leave you speechless. With that said, let's get started. In the middle of a valley surrounded by the mysterious atmosphere of the Japanese mountains stood an ancient Buddhist monastery, a protector of ancient wisdom and a haven of refuge for people seeking inner peace. In this vicinity, where everything seemed to have shut down, lived the old and revered monk Makoto, whose wisdom and deep comprehension of the practices of Buddhism and Oriental medicine shone like the light of a burning candle in the night. One day, as the sun's glowing rays penetrated through the branches of the trees, Makoto assembled his disciples in the monastic cloister for one of the customary lessons. With a tranquil look, he invited his disciples to sit in a circle around him and started speaking in an inviting and soothing voice. He said, "Every single step we take on the road of life is a holy journey, a path that leads us to understanding of ourselves and the cosmos that surrounds us. Just as it is important to prepare effectively when approaching a long and exhausting journey, we must be ready to face the obstacles that await us in this world." The disciples listened, enthralled by their master's words, and when Makoto mentioned the traditional custom of sprinkling salt in shoes, their minds opened to the magic of a ritual as ancient as it was enigmatic. "This tradition," Makoto continued, "has foundations that date back to the remotest past, when our forefathers walked across wild and impervious places. In those ancient ages, salt was not just an ingredient to enrich food, but a precious commodity, an emblem of purification and protection." The elderly monk took a moment's hold, allowing the words to settle like sensitive sand in the hearts of his disciples, and then continued, "I am going to explain to you the 5 main reasons why the ancient ritual of putting salt in your shoes is so necessary and important for our spiritual path and for our well-being in general. First," Makoto explained, "salt has the ability to absorb moisture, just as the Buddha absorbs the misery of humanity. When we sprinkle salt on our shoes, it helps us keep our steps light and quick. In Buddhist practice, humidity is always connected with the burden of worry and sorrow that we carry with us throughout life. Just as the volume of water filling our shoes in the rain slows and drags down our pace, the anxieties and concerns of the mind might impede our journey toward inner peace and insight. Putting salt in your shoes signals an eagerness to liberate yourself from this burden, to let go of anxieties and to keep a lightness of spirit regardless of whatever difficulties you experienced along the journey. Salt acts as an absorber of these anxieties, helping our steps remain light and quick as we advance in our search for peace of mind and wisdom." To emphasize the importance of this aspect, Makoto told them the story of an elderly fisherman who during a storm rescued his boat from sinking, thanks to a bag of salt that he had thrown on the deck in order to absorb the water. "The second reason to put salt in your shoes," Makoto continued, "is the fact that it has cleansing powers. By assimilating pollutants, salt cleanses our path, liberating it from negative effects and spiritual barriers. Hence, putting salt in our shoes is a means to safeguard our mind and soul against the deceit and temptations of the outside world." To better illustrate this idea, the monk told his disciples the story of a traveler who throughout his journey came across a river infested with demonic spirits. Because of the salt in his shoes, he was able to cross the river uninjured, shielding his mind and soul from negative influences. "The third reason," Makoto said, "is that salt enables us to preserve stability. Just as the mountains that surround us are signs of stability and strength, sprinkling salt in our shoes also enables us to establish ourselves on the planet and stay steadfast in the midst of the storms of life. "The mountains surrounding the monastery symbolize an image of stability and resilience," said the monk. "Just like these towering rock formations stay strong even in the midst of the most severe storms, we also need to learn to maintain our own inner strength as we face everyday challenges. And putting salt in your shoes symbolizes this equilibrium. In reality, the salt acts as an anchor for our steps, stabilizing them and preventing unwanted falls along the way. When we walk with salted shoes, we feel more solid and attached to the earth, as if we had a profound connection with the earth itself. This balance not only impacts the body, but also the mind and soul. Therefore, practicing this practice is an encouragement to discover the correct balance between the numerous elements of our existence, between labor and leisure, between activity and contemplation, between joy and despair, between good and evil. When we manage to preserve this equilibrium, we may meet life's obstacles with calmness and resolve, without being surprised by the ups and downs we encounter along the spiritual journey. To make the idea more apparent, Makoto told them the story of a young monk who, during his meditation on the banks of a turbulent mountain stream, gained the ideal balance because of the salt he carried. As the disciples became more deeply involved with the stories of their spiritual guide, Makoto proceeded on the fourth reason. "Salt also has healing powers," he said. "In Oriental medicine, salt is regarded as a natural cure for relieving pain and stress. Putting salt in your shoes assists in relieving not just the physical discomforts, but also the emotional ones that we experience during our spiritual journey." To illustrate this point, the monk told his disciples the story of a farmer who, battling with a deep wound on his foot, got healed by immersing his foot in a saltwater solution. Moving on to the fifth reason, Makoto talked about the way putting salt on your shoes was an expression of appreciation. Salt is a precious gift from the planet. When used, it consciously encourages us to be thankful for everything that life offers us, including the happiness and the challenges, said the master. The disciples listened to Makoto's words with high regard, comprehending the wisdom behind that apparently simple deed. But the monk was not done yet. Looking his disciples in the eyes, he said, "My dear ones, there is a reason associated with this practice that I decided to leave till last because of its importance. Putting salt in your shoes is a tradition of passage that links us to our past generations and all the individuals who lived on this earth before us. Each grain of salt reflects their tales, their challenges, and their triumphs. If we put salt in our shoes, we create an eternal connection of knowledge and resilience that spans time and space, passing on their spirits and strength in our footsteps." Shocked by this revelation, the disciples were astonished, considering the complexity of this apparently simple deed. They understood that for Makoto, salt in shoes was not only an old tradition or a sign of safety and cleansing, but a link to humanity itself and all of the lives that were lived before them.